Good evening. Welcome to the Laugh and Monkey Music Show. Today we have on Erik Ferentinos. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thanks, Sean.
Well, Erik is a rat bastard from Stephen Pearcy's band, and I've seen you play. Now, as I was saying earlier, I saw you play a couple months ago now when you came and played Mohegan Sun, and that was just a fantastic show. It was like the first show I think I saw since COVID happened. So it was like you guys and Jizzy and Quiet Riot. It was just a fantastic show.
With Steven over the years, I've done all the types of venues, but it's not that often that we play arenas, and so in 2022 to be
Yeah.
playing the two, or I was like, oh man, you play an arena, you're worried if it's even going to be full, but got awesome pictures. Was super packed.
It was totally packed. I got in. I was on the floor, and it was just insane show. Everyone sounded good. We had a thing here. It was an old furniture factory, and we're about almost the same age. They would rent it out to like bands, like God, I think it was early, like mid '80s, and the cops
Right.
couldn't go on it because it was private property. But all the teenagers could rent it and have all these rooms, and all the bands would play in all the rooms, and they just like lock it. So it was almost like having like a bunch of clubs all in one spot, and you could drink and stuff and walk through there, and you couldn't get in trouble.
That's awesome.
Yeah, as a kid, it was really awesome. I think Rivers from Weezer, he had a band down there. A lot of fun times down there. But yeah, that was my first time seeing Jimmy. It was down there actually, and I just saw him play locally again.
We something like that. We're in San Diego here. There was like storage facilities that had a similar thing going on, where in the late '80s, bands would turn those into like rehearsal rooms,
Right.
walk through there, and obviously there was no club security or whatever. So as underage people drinking in there and watching
Well, that's what
bands.
this was. It was a storage. It was for storage for equipment. But there's kegs in every room with stacks of amps.
Nice. This
It was it was pretty funny. Um, I do want to step back a little bit of history because you've been with Steven from pretty much for the us fans like day one. You've always been doing his solo stuff, but you also
more
had some other bands earlier though. You just touched on it a
uh
little bit.
right. Well, I grew up in San Diego for the most part, and the first band I was in was called Voodoo, and that was with Andy Milner, who was the singer. He was the son of the actor Martin Milner, if you remember the show, Adam
Yeah.
12. Uh, that was Andy's dad. Also, this is Charlie George and John Krylo, who I still get together with and play. We were very popular here in San Diego. We actually sold thousands of records here, and we opened for most of the national acts that came through.
Wow.
Speaking of Dizzy, we opened for Love Hate, like at the Bacchanal anymore, and uh, all kinds of big shows that we did. And then after that, uh, 13A, which consisted of members of Asphalt Ballet, if you remember.
Yeah.
And we were doing pretty well. We won like the Miller Genuine Draft Battle of the Bands. Then right at that time, around 2000, Steve hit me playing in a solo band, and ultimately I joined up in 2001. So it's been over 20 years with him. The first few solo albums he did, he played a lot of guitar on that, but as the albums progressed, I showed up more and more on the songwriting end till we had to deal with Frontiers, and then we did Smash and View to a Thrill, where he and I just wrote the album together. And we're going to do another one. That'll be out early 2023.
Very cool. He's been teasing everybody with his riffs online.
Isn't that cool? A lot of people don't even know that he plays guitar.
Well, it's funny. The first interview I had with him, I've done a few. I said, I brought up the guitar playing. I said people don't, realize that you play guitar,
He
and
started.
he plays a lot now online, so it's cool. It's very cool.
He does. He also on Cameo.
Hmm.
Also, if they Stephen Pearcy shout out for their birthday or whatever crazy thing, he's always on there, and he loves jamming songs for people on there, and so that's been a good way for him to connect. Uh,
Um,
I know.
yeah, he sends out a flyer if you belong to his thing. He's he's out there though. Steven is out there, and he's very good to the fans. He's very much. I think it's been a big part of his resurgence too. How available he is to the fans.
Right,
The fans love it.
they do. They nowadays that's very important. I think on platforms where people can actually connect with you directly, and it ends up also helping out financially too for a
Well,
lot.
no, it does because it helps. I mean, like I've done a few interviews with him, and the people, the biggest commenter, they go, they can't believe how he talks, and it's like I feel like I'm in the same room with him. I feel like he's, a friend. I mean, because he's very, that's who he is. He's very kind, and open to all the fans, So
Yeah,
it's only amplified though. I think a lot of people could take a page out of his book, you know, to the fans, and I think, you know,
in person, his sense of humor it can be around the edges, where he's just joking around, but to somebody that doesn't know him, they might have they might judgment on him, but he's usually just joking around when he.
yeah, he's been pretty funny off camera too. We've had some talks off camera. He's a good cat. I like him. None of us are perfect. So, as a songwriter, has changed. Have you done anything on your side though, on yourself, like solo-ish, or are you just because I mean you're pretty much all Pearcy stuff, and it's been a pretty steady ride at this point.
Right. Yeah, the only I've pretty much just been busy with him for the most part. Through the years I tried some different things. Had a solo band called the Anti Division in like the early 2000s that I tried doing, and that was pretty hard. Where I was basically doing all the music myself, and then trying to find a band to play it live. And I was trying to sing, and I'm a decent backup singer, but I don't know if I have what it takes to deliver. Steven did take us out in 2007, where I did double duty, and the Anti Division opened up for Jet Boy, and Jet Boy was opening up for Pearcy, and I think maybe Bang Tango might have been on the bill too.
Wow.
But I got to do that. It was like a couple-month thing, and I think my voice went out within like a week, being out there. So it was tough doing double duty like that, coming back out with Steven later to do his show. So after a few years of just not really getting anywhere with it, I just kind of put it aside. I go, this isn't for me. I just kind of put it away. uh since then, the only other band I did was Bow Wow Wow, and
That's pretty cool.
right in 2020, I just a friend knew somebody that knew that they were looking for a touring band to put together, uh, do a Live Nation tour with the Motels and Bow Wow Wow. And so I got the gig, and then COVID, happened a few
Yeah.
months in. And then just like everybody else, we were, down for the count for a good year and a half. But during that time, when the smoke cleared from everything going on with Rat, Steven went back out solo.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, I got my gig back. We've been doing great, and we got a good lineup, solid lineup now, and the shows have been fantastic.
Yeah, you do have a great lineup. Johnny and Scotty's and drums still, right? And
Jerry Montano was in Danzig,
yeah,
and he did Nothing Phase. He's a very interesting guy, and I think the show Metalocalypse
yeah.
based character on him, which is I just found out like recently. I was like, what? Because
I
I
have
just
to check that out.
and I'm like, hey, Metalocalypse over here is hungry, or whatever. Turned out that is who it was based on, so it was interesting.
That's
Um,
funny.
and then Johnny Monaco is a monster guitar player, a great singer. Probably both. He has so
Hilarious.
many. There's actually too many for us to even, rat songs to play.
Well, they're
But
like
we
they're
will.
like cult classics. You know what I mean? You can be like, Back for More. Was it a huge hit? No, but it's a hit. You know what I mean? Or you think you're tough? Like I'm insane. Like they weren't like big singles, but they're hits.
Yeah, occasionally I wonder, like, because some of the songs I kind of gauge it on. I was a casual fan, so if I knew the song or not, I can gauge whether most of the crowd would know it or not. And there are some that I didn't know.
Really?
That
Even after
yeah.
being with them for all these years, that's hilarious.
Well, I mean, yeah, just going back to my youth. Um, yeah, I didn't actually own all their records like a lot of kids that were a few years older than me.
Oh, Eric.
Yeah, well, they were expensive. I mean, honestly, I mean, minimum wage back then was like $3
Yeah,
an
but
hour.
weren't you like mowing? Would you actually mowed Steven's yard and stuff? He could have paid you a couple bucks and get an
That,
album,
that was a good payday, yeah. But hey,
right?
we had some weed with that money, so.
That would sound like Steven doing that. It's pretty funny. Um, are the shows all similar? Like at this point, because they are getting bigger. You doing? Are they? So is it Foxwoods? I mean, Wigan Sun and stuff. Are they similar to that now? Are they getting bigger and bigger? Or is it just like a real mix still?
We've mostly been doing amphitheaters and whatnot. There was one really small gig that we did in Denver recently where it was like really small little sports bar. I wasn't sure what happened with that, but everything else that we did was amphitheater, the arena show you were talking about.
Yeah.
This show that we're doing on, I guess, I believe it's in Hinckley, Minnesota, called Summerfest. So that's a big festival. I'm pretty sure that's in a big area with us, Quiet Riot, Autograph, and then we'll head over to Des Plaines, Illinois, Plains Theater. So that show, it sounds like a theater. I mean, I'm guessing it has the word theater in
Yeah.
it. So, which I love.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Usually,
It's good to gauge that, like to hear that you're playing more and more bigger things, because it's not just a sign for you guys. It's good for you guys, but it's also good for rock music. You know,
yeah, of course it is.
the more bands play, the more that next you know, and bands can still make albums and stuff if they want, or do some new music because they're
Right.
inspired because they're playing for more than 5 people. You know, and they get a better check.
Just announced that he signed to Golden Robot Records.
Oh, that's
So
right. I saw that. Yeah.
yeah, so he has a best of type record coming out, and then ours will come out after that. So that's the latest on him.
He's got a lot of projects going.
I'm trying to pump him for him. See, I got the cameo. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I try. Yeah, it didn't. Wasn't going to get into it too much because I've done a lot of Steven on here, so I want to give someone else a chance.
Right.
Steven's pretty funny. Steven's funny. When I had him on the first time, he's like, "How's my hair sound?"
Oh yeah, he loves that.
He loves that one. It's pretty fucking funny.
You guys know I always have the same saying. What is it? And we go, "Don't fuck up." Yeah.
I didn't realize it. I didn't interview them. I didn't realize it. And I said, the second time, I go, welcome, Steven, welcome back. And he goes, I hear him, he goes, here you go, back for more. Like he goes for more. I just said back. I didn't even catch that when I was talking to him. He goes,
lay it down.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It's like a dad pun.
Signs everything like, or his typical response is way cool.
Yeah,
all the time.
That's pretty. Which great. Is. What about you for gear? What are you using? Has it changed over the years?
Well, most of the shows are flyouts, and amp wise, in our rider, I usually ask for a JCM 900 Marshall because that's somewhat accessible for them. Mm-hmm. I don't take too much pedal wise. I switched to wireless this year. I got the line 6 wireless, good, and I just have some Boss pedals. You know, I delay and a chorus. There's an overdrive I don't use, and a tuner, and I have a boost. It's like an EQ pedal that I use as a boost. So it's pretty straightforward. And I'm mostly using the amp, and I just crank it up, and it gets a good rat sound for these.
Well, that's the thing. You do have a good sound where obviously people can be very critical. I mean, you're doing like, Warren solo stuff, and the sound, right. The rat sound, people have been here for years. So, but it sounds good. It sounds rat,
Oh, it helped with that. I used to just do a Les Paul for the most part. I did have a Charvel that Michael Charvel built for me, but it was a Telecaster. He had basically saw me playing near where their shop is. I should give some background that they sold the Charvel name, and now they're called Wayne guitars, named Dad, who started the company in San Dimas or what have you. Actually, it turns out that even though it says San Dimas, I guess just their post office box was in San Dimas. That's why I even said that for the shot back. But anyways, they're called Wayne. He had seen me play a Pearcy solo show where I had a Fender Telecaster I was playing, and Michael came up to me after and he's like, "Hey, I want to build you a Telecaster," and it had the Wayne Charbel neck on it. And I played it forever. It had he actually let me. He wanted to put fabric instead of painting it and seal fabric into it. It was a kind of a weird thing, and I ended up giving him some Universal Studios monsters. It was
Yeah.
like curtain fabric that he was able to like get it onto the body and seal it in there. So it was kind of a unique way of doing it. And I played that for a long time, but during the shutdown, it was a couple years there. I had to mess around with stuff, and I ended up buying a couple Charvels, and they actually turned out to be great. Obviously, Jakey Lee, Warren DeMartini played these back. They're the choice of the Jedi, weapon choice of the Jedi Knight, guitar Knight. Yeah. So I finally broke down and went that way and got with the Floyd Rose and everything. And it's been a lot of fun to play these, and they hold up pretty well. I don't have to tune as much live, and it helps to get that sound.
Was the transition hard when you first started? Because playing the
Yeah,
Rat songs, and then, I mean, 'cause like I said, I was saying people can be kind of rough. Like me, I'm just a fan of music, and I'm like, well, if they can't play as this, I still want to hear them play. Steven always
yeah.
has a good bunch of people, so just enjoy the show. But
Well, what my first memory of getting the gig, Mark Zavon was originally below lead guitarist, and something happened between them, and he had to get somebody else on guitar. And so he had called me up, and I really couldn't even believe that he was asking me for this because, I had played at basically San Diego local bands, and we were
mm-hmm.
more like Chains type thing, or the 13A thing was more of a heavy Static X type band. And of course, I knew rap music growing up on the MTV and the radio, and I was his friend for so long. But I still couldn't believe he was asking me to like take the role of what Warren DeMartini would be doing, in a soul band. That was so far beyond where I was, playability wise, technically speaking, at that moment, 22 years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, I was 27 years old, and things weren't happening, for my original bands as I had hoped, as the 90s were progressing there. And I said, what do I have to lose? So I got on the plane, and we didn't even have a rehearsal, not even a check. It was just a
That
throw and go.
sounds like it still happens nowadays out of here when people are still coming in.
Yeah. And, we did the show, and I got through it. But I was like, back at that time, 21 years ago, the internet wasn't at all what it was today. So there
Oh
was no
yeah.
YouTube or anything. YouTube didn't come out till 2006. So, now kids can just go on, and there's plenty of lessons of how to play the Rat songs. But I was just trying to learn it by ear, and I didn't even have anything to like slow the tracks down or anything like that. So it
That
was
sounds
difficult.
awful.
I'll be honest. Some of the songs I played wrong for years, and then I would run into somebody or catch a better tablature of it or something. And then,
Remember, because the tabs were so bad too; they were never right.
tablatures were notoriously wrong. You're correct,
Right.
and it's their fault, man.
Well, and you like the band's endorsing it, but the band's not really looking at it. You're like, it's literally got like Led Zeppelin tabs. And you're like, this is totally not how the song goes. I actually didn't play guitar until like 5 or 6 years ago because I couldn't. Like, I started when I was younger. I'm like, I can't learn. This is visually. Once YouTube
Right.
started having the tutorials and stuff, I'm like, I can see it. I can get it now. And then
Finally, it put all the guitar teachers out of business.
I still think you need guitar teachers though.
No, there are plenty. Actually, they make good money on these YouTube channels because the content is just educational, and they're not worried about being deplatformed for freedom of speech, or if
Yep.
anything, they just watch out for copyright infringement on music that they're doing. But as far as like them putting their own tracks of music, teaching people some lessons, they do make money off it. I mean, and I hope that can continue.
It's a good model. And it's also good to do Skype lessons too, though. So this way you can reach more people. You could be teaching somebody in Brazil, some kid, you know what I mean, who would normally get to learn from you. That's a fantastic thing too.
Right. We don't want
You
them
could,
getting too. We don't want them to. I kind of say it wrong. No.
well, you teach lessons too, right?
What's that? Oh, you're asking if I do lessons on YouTube?
Well, no, just in general, you do lessons.
Oh no, I have. I've certainly done my share of lessons over the years. For me though, I have to kind of want to do something. It's hard to like when I have to like commit to some schedule doing something that bums me out, and I'm not using the time to work stuff and what have you. But there's been times where it definitely got me by, financially. But I'm doing better in other ways where I don't have to like necessarily do that as often. But I do occasionally still get here and there.
Well, I was gonna put a plug in for you. If they could reach out for you if you were doing lessons.
Yeah, it's I just don't advertise such things, but sometimes occasionally somebody hits me up about it, and I have done an online lesson before. If somebody locally here, I was supposed to do a lesson today locally actually, but yeah, it's there if I want to, or I can put Walmart or something. Whatever.
Well, and there you have it, everybody. If he maybe wants to give do a lesson, reach out to him and maybe.
Maybe, yeah. No, we're just busy. I mean, honestly, these flyouts, it's like, a lot of traveling. Like for one show, we're gone 3 days. So if we did like, 5 shows this month, 15 days that you're not home, just do 5 shows, you're gone half the month. So there's not too much time to do that stuff, and it's hard for me to commit to like any kind of normal schedule of anything because the shows take precedence.
Well, it makes sense. I'm always surprised to hear people say that actually they're still touring and teaching. I'm like, and are running businesses and doing a lot of other things. I'm like, I
They're
could
over.
just do one thing. Oh,
They're over,
Jesus.
bastards. Oh, I'm lazy, generally speaking.
You're like, I grew up watching rock stars play out and do stuff so you didn't have to work. I'm not going to, I finally got that
Right.
gig and then I'm not going to get a job on top of it.
Well, I'll tell you, for the aspiring players out there, the first gigs of any notoriety that you're going to get, they're not going to pay you shit. It's just going to be, hey, you have the glory of being in a known band that
Yeah.
somebody you could name and they've heard of it, but you're going to make peanuts for a long time. You've contributed to that band somehow in a way that that they need to compensate you, whether it's you become a more prolific writer in the band or what have you. But in most cases, they're just looking for someone who's gonna the cheapest person they can get that's good enough to get them, you know, through the show. And they have a word. It's called a scab. you know, scab too for a long time. I mean, I had my loyalty paid off over time, but I can't say that there was any other platinum guy that's asked me to play in their band. Steven was always the biggest artist, so why even bother? I knew to hang on to that tight. And
Well, and bands are so hard to get together. I mean, to keep a band together is so hard. If you have a band that's really working for you, why give yourself a headache?
well, what's cool is he is at a point where he's we're not gone 6 months of the year, so it is doable. Where I do get to come home. I mean, I have cats here and stuff I don't like to be away from, and I'm in a relationship. I have a great place I'm living at, and it's so great, in fact, that most places I go to aren't even close to this great. So the members room up. You know, I played in a. They were sticking us. They're like 4 dudes in a room.
Like what, bunk beds, like Step Brothers, like.
No, it was this band Earshot, and I remember I made a mistake in doing that tour, and he literally had a deal with Hilton Hotels where he was only paying like $40 a room. He would just buy 2 rooms, one for him, and then put the whole band in the other room. And again, that's like a example of what you can expect from these, some of these artists that
Pretty
didn't.
sure there's only 2 beds in those rooms too, so you really become, the members quite well.
Yeah, have, they had like a blow up mattress, and like maybe the couch also had a pull out or something like that. But that was rough, to where I'm grateful because, we're treated really well by Steven, and when we get our own rooms, and, we've figured out that, if you stay with the same airline, like most bands are using Delta, now your loyalty points could build up in such a way that it's at least a little less stressful to travel and the fees. So it's pretty comfortable to do these shows.
That's hilarious to hear. I heard I was talking to Bunk Band, and the guy belongs to the Hilton program, where he gets to check out later. He earns points. He's like, yeah, I couldn't go. I had free tickets for like the World Series. He goes, I got a vacuum cleaner. I'm like, this doesn't really sound rock and roll here. you know, Earning his points, man, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've done a lot of flying this year. My Delta thing, I have like 150,000 miles of accrued like this year on there, which is
Wow.
pretty, yeah. So they start to treat you a little better, and they put you on like a standby list to get graded to like first class, and so
Well,
that's
you
kind
should.
of, for years I was treated so bad by them, by the way. Delta, I mean, they're making up for it now, but like 10 years from 9/11, for about a decade, they were horrible. And between the TSA and their airlines, they destroyed so many of my guitars and cases and stuff like that. What's cool now is there's a company called Enki, Enki, and they make these phenomenal road cases. I actually saw Steve Stevens make a post today about them as well. You can see it right here. That's what this is, by the way.
Totally,
It's kind of hard to see.
like gorilla proof type of nothing you can
Totally
do.
throw it off the building. Like, I don't worry about it anymore. I don't even think about it. Like I put the two Charvels in there when I go to do a fly out, and those things are in tune when I pull them out. They're just the way the foam's encased in there, and the
Really.
way the latch. It's the best thing for us. But over the years, even the federal government had stepped in to give musicians some rights we weren't really getting, for a while. Like, uh, at least they have to attempt to get your guitar on board. You know what I mean? If it meets these requirements, like this is how it used to be anyway. If it was in a soft case, you could bring it on board.
Mhm.
They have to at least try board. But these airlines used to be dicks. They'd look at me, oh, that's not going to fit on here, and expect me to just like gate check a soft case guitar. You know what I mean? It caused me so much stress. Like when we would fly, it was always super upsetting, and I'd have to get there early and fake injuries and shit to like and try to like get on board early to like get targets on there. So now that these awesome cases, I just check it, and they're not Delta doesn't charge me for putting that case, so I just check that. I have a small roller duffel bag that I use to take my little pedal board and my clothes for the trip, and I take that as my carry on, and it's pretty smooth, man. I'm wheeling
Cool.
everything,
That's
carrying
good
it.
because
Kidding
I
me?
know.
Like just to get from gate to gate, and you may have heard I had some health complications
Yeah.
recently.
How are you?
I'm much better, much better. I mean,
Was
that's
it
the good.
was it a heart attack?
I had a heart attack, and I'm only 49 years old.
So you've been
So,
doing what? Eating like tons of like meatball subs or something secretly, right? Like,
well, it's true. I love meat.
because that's how I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna be hit by like a truck, like a farmer's truck. So a salad's gonna kill me, but it's gonna be like a truck hitting me, loaded with farmer stuff.
You're onto something here, because it's like something's gonna get you, man. There's one thing that we're all bonded by, and that's that we're
Death.
all die. There's
I'm not.
nothing.
It's gonna be an irony though. I'm gonna have a terrible irony attached to my death though. That's how it's gonna go. I know it, like a cartoon.
I'm with you on that. Like I could see that. I mean, one thing I don't want is to die on stage or something. That almost happened to me. I mean, we had played a festival in Columbus, Ohio, and then when I got off stage, it went from worse, and next thing you know, I'm getting you know rushed to into surgery, and I got some stents. But turn a bad thing good. I mean, my heart was like half working before, so now it's working good. You know what I mean? I got checked up since those things got put in, and my blood pressure's great, and my breathing's good. So I'm actually feel much better all around than I did before the heart attack. Even though
what were your symptoms though, like when you had it? Because I'm actually a little
um
older than you, and
well, I'll tell you, we've all been through so much, all of us, everybody watching this, you, me, and the last three couple of years so stressful. And leading up to I actually a year ago got COVID naturally.
Mhm.
And I thought that I had some type of long COVID because I had trouble breathing. Like my breathing was crappy. But mind you, I did gain weight, like a lot of people did. I mean, honestly, gained way too much weight for me. I'm not a
I
big
did
guy.
too. I did too. I'm a skinny guy. It looks like it's when a skinny guy gains weight just in one spot. Looks like your face is melting because you're like skinny fat guy,
Yeah.
right? Like a it's
Well,
like a crane in the back of a car. Ugh.
I'm 5'10" on a good day, and I shouldn't be, over 200 pounds. And that's where I was. I was like having to dress certain ways to kind of hide it. I'm kind of like an egg on, I'm kind of like hold it all right here, but my legs are, super skinny still, which
Like a bird. I got the same problem.
so but anyways, yeah, I was a good 30 plus pounds overweight, but family, genetically speaking, my parents had the same problems at the same age, so there is like a genetic
Mhm.
background involved with heart disease and stuff. It runs in my family on both sides, so it's not surprising. Maybe I could have done more to mitigate that if I was a vegan, whatever. But again, as we were talking about, you never know when your time is up. You know what I mean? You could
Yeah.
eat as you want to. It's not going to stop that garbage truck from losing its brakes.
Right.
But leading up to it, to answer your question, I was just really winded after the performance. My blood pressure, I usually have high blood pressure anyway. I'm kind of a stress case, and action. And getting off stage, I just remember trying to get my guitars packed up. I didn't have a pack with me, and I was just trying to like these Charbels. You got to undo everything and get it into this case and the whole rigmarole. And my blood pressure just wasn't going down. And as I was making my way back to where the trailers were, I started feeling a pressure like in the center of my chest, which I guess I felt before in my life if I've really exerted myself really
Mhm.
bad. But as I made it back, I remember talking to Johnny for a second. I had to like excuse myself. I'm like, hey man, I got to go sit down or something. And basically couldn't get my composure. I started asking for help from the guys, like, somebody give me water. And I remember, trying to like cool my head down. And I was way too, uh, exerted for, for a typical gig. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't like in that strenuous and I was way too exerted. And then I started to know something was up. And then we asked for, the medics, and strangely enough, they had sent the medics home like an hour early at this event, which was stupid. But they ended up having to call 911. They got an ambulance there, and I was rushed into this awesome hospital, and that does like one of the best heart hospitals in the country. And within like 30 minutes, this amazing team, fixed me up. So it was
Well, I'm glad you're better. And it's been a year. Which Richie from Judas Priest, same thing. Like everyone's just trying to go off on this. Richie Faulkner on Judas Priest with a heart issue too on stage. It
that's
was that
right.
long ago. But
Good thing he
uh,
finished the gig. I had to go
yeah,
straight to
yeah.
yeah.
I like what I'm saying is I've had like I deal with a super lot of stress. There's a point where I was just feeling it in my chest, and I was coming home, but I feel my chest and like shooting to my arm. And I got home. I was like, "You should go get checked out." I'm like, "You need to drive me. I can't drive myself." And they
Right.
checked me. I had the symptoms of it, but it turns out it was still just stress. Like I'm like, "What is the
So you
breaking point?"
like checked, because it's worth it to go if they
Oh,
could
they
do a
did the full. They had me do everything. They had up, down. They checked me 100%.
good.
And I had it for like 2 days though. It was that bad. And like, but through
I,
here, and you know that chest pain's a pain you can't talk about. It's like you can't describe it. And then I had it to my arm.
Sanford and Son.
Yeah, always the big one. I'm like, you're stressing me out, and it's crazy. And I'm good. Like I didn't have COVID or anything. I just got COVID a couple weeks ago, and I got over COVID, and I still got this like lingering cough now. The COVID cough.
Right. That can linger. Well,
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get checked out only because every time I eat or drink, my throat swells up, and I have a hard time breathing. And I do need to eat and drink, so You know, I got to figure this whole breathing thing. You know,
I'm gonna have to eat something in the future, so you might want to get that.
it's crazy because you'll start coughing like crazy and not eat something. But here's the best part. I'm like, my wife and daughter are like, you gotta go to get checked out. And I'm thinking, here's the thing. COVID started. I gained a lot of COVID weight because I wasn't working at work. I wasn't moving around a lot. I'm only walking to the snack machine a lot. Gain just like you, right?
Stressy when there's bad news going
Yeah.
on. I'm like,
So I
I
gained all this weight just like you,
anyway.
probably gained like, yeah, easy 20, 30 pounds. I don't need, so I look like this weird bird egg, some kind of cartoon thing. And then and then but now that I'm not eating as much, I looked in the mirror. I'm like, I'm actually losing weight now. This whole COVID thing. So like, COVID giveth and COVID taketh away now. So I'm like, oh, do I want to get rid of this thing right now until I've lost a couple more pounds, or you know what I'm saying? Because once I can eat,
Yeah,
I'm gonna stuff my face again.
I'm on the old guy Metamucil thing kick. So like, but 49, and this happened to me. So if people are thinking, men out there specifically or think you're too young to have something like that, I mean, if you're having symptoms, trouble breathing, and you should definitely do what you can to get an appointment and make sure you're all right. Don't let things get to where I did.
You know, you got
Unfortunately,
to, yeah. I mean, I hate the stress tests. I'm also, my doctor's not allowed to say you're like so fit, you're healthy fit, because every time they do that, they're like, they were fit as a fiddle, and 2 days later they drop dead. I'm like, I told my doctor, I'm like, you're not allowed to say that. I don't want you jinxing me.
well, I'll be honest. Like I was almost, and this is terrible to say, but I see so many people that are way more out of shape than me. Way more, and they don't have these problems with their heart. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, I'm not even. I haven't let myself go nearly as bad as a lot of people I know personally. But they have no heart disease whatsoever. Weird.
You know, they need to name it. They need to name it like Keith Richards syndrome, KRS. Like you can do everything, and like Keith is still probably in better shape than I am right now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I know he's had things though. It's not like he's
No, you don't
just
understand. Like, he's done though.
fusions and like who knows when you're at that level, like what they do to help you out.
New skin on your reptile body. He's kind of a whole.
Start to no, I love Keith Richards. I follow
Oh, I know
him,
that.
and
Everybody loves Keith Richards.
Rolling
I
Stone,
love him.
one of the coolest bands, and like, usually most people, their parents introduce them to music, and a lot of people, their parents were either a Beatles or a Rolling Stones. It
Yep.
was like one of the my parents were for sure Rolling Stones, 100%. So that was
Mine was Elvis. So I went from Elvis right into the Stones and the Beatles. So there's no
hell yeah.
difference. So that was my rock pyramid: Elvis, Beatles, and Stones.
Did you have older brothers or sisters or
No,
anything?
no, only child.
Oh wow.
So it was just like, you find the old albums, like Meatloaf, "Bad Out of Hell," or
Yeah,
you
that was
know,
the horn show, right?
it was the crazy album cover, the artwork was coming out of it and stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was just saying on MTV, I remember the Meatloaf Bad Out of Hell, the videos that they had, and they were provocative to say the
Yeah.
least. As were a lot of videos. Like make you feel a little squirrely as a kid when you're watching them. You don't know why.
Well, that was it. Right. That was the years of MTV. And
Yeah,
then when the shoegazing happened, which I do like, it's a lot of those bands, but it was boring. You really didn't need videos anymore. It was good listening music. You know,
true. It
but the
changed a lot,
videos, way, yeah,
but you could tell that people they want it again. You know what I mean? They want to see people playing their instruments and
and
actually
singing, no tracks, just singing.
we and I'm glad you just brought that up because we did a gig a few weeks back, and Alanis Morissette was the big headliner that was on
Yeah,
the. This was at the in Iowa. It was the state fair that we were playing, and they had a big stage that Alanis Morissette was on, and then we were on the Spinal Tap puppet show. I was somewhere else, that whole thing was weird, but she had 20,000 people over there watching her. Like
wow.
most of the people there, I have to say. But and a couple of our guys went to go check out the show, and apparently the power went down with some of the stuff, but the vocals kept going when she was gone. So she was totally, blowing in
Oh,
all her and everything, which I was
wow. You know,
surprised to hear. But apparently that's been going on for years. So
yeah,
uh,
I don't mind the testing. I just don't like something stick in my nose. I'm ready to just throw up. Like,
Even when I had the heart attack and they tried to do that to me in there, they're like, "Have you this and that? We're gonna give you a COVID test." And then I had taken one once before, and I opted myself, and I know how far I want to go up, so I only had the tip go. I was holding it right
I'm gonna throw
before
up just thinking about it. I'll be honest with you right now. My throat's closing up.
uh, but yes, they tried to do that. And I was like, "All right, buddy, you got okay. You're good. You're good. You got it. You got it." It's like I totally flinch on that. I've heard the stories of people's brains get poked, and that ain't gonna happen to me.
I told us I gag. I'm like, I'm gonna gag if you put it in there. And they've actually let me do it myself. I'm like,
Hey,
I tell them the story. I said, look, I said, here's the deal. I had a gag reflex. My dentist thought it was hilarious. I'm like, don't stick your hands in my mouth. You know the X-rays? He goes, oh, you're fine, you're fine. I said, I have a gag reflex. I can't help it. I'm telling you right now, if you stick anything in me, I don't even like your hands in my face. He's talking to me, and I used to work for a cable company. He's like giving me a hard time about the prices. I'm a tech. I don't even care about the prices. So he's just going in deeper, deeper. Gag reflex. I bite him hard, and not on purpose. I couldn't control it. And he was so
uh,
mad. He was so mad. I'm like, dude, what did I tell you? I go,
I
I
do.
told you. I have a gag reflex.
If there's a really smelly fart going on, I will do the same thing. I'm
Yep.
like, ah.
Yep. That I retch, and it's funny, and it's the worst. And and I'm gonna say I put a cap on this. Last thing I'll say. When I went to the dentist, I'm like, I'm really good about keep my teeth clean, and the woman's like, oh, you haven't been in a while. Da, da, da. Like, when are you last to be there? I'm like, I don't know. Who was president back then? I'm like, I never get cavities. I always brush my teeth. And so she goes, oh, you haven't been a long time. She goes, I'm gonna book you for double cleaning. I'm like, you don't need to do that. You're kind of out of control. And she's a big snot. She's like, I'm gonna book you for double cleaning. I'm like, fine.
Oh,
So what I did is when I got there, yeah, when I got there, this is a true story. I had bought a coffee, and I had a banana, and I had a bunch of Oreo cookies, and I ate them all in the parking lot. And then I went in, and I told her what I did, and she was so mad. I'm like, there you go.
you made sure she had a clean. She was gonna
That's
earn her
right.
money.
You drink your coffee, and then you eat a banana with some Oreo cookies, which also, by the way, is a bad mixture. Looking back, banana and cookies, but my teeth were
Uh,
awful. But she got it all clean in one. Even all that, she got done in one cleaning. She didn't need the extra time, but she was mad. Maybe she's cleaning angry, but yeah.
well, that the secret to not getting cavities is just don't go to the dentist.
I guess. Or brush your teeth a lot. So I want to thank you for being on this show, man, and
Thank you.
we'll chat again. This has been fun.
Absolutely, brother. A lot of fun. Thanks for having me on. And if you ever see that we're back in Mohegan Sun, please be our guest.
I will do that.